And we are live. Awesome. Welcome, everyone, to this special episode of Explaining Hemp. This is our sponsor spotlight, and my name is Sarah Williams. I'm the CEO and founder of Hemp for Healthcare in Alaska and in America. Today I'm joined by Toby McCracken and Kirk Fawcett with Western Ag Works, and they are this month's sponsor spotlight for a Wi-Fi sponsorship. So I thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. Thank you so much for being here. We're gonna wait just a few seconds. It takes a couple of minutes for the broadcast to kind of go out to everyone. So we'll just wait just a few seconds and in that. But while we do that, with every episode of Explaining Hemp, we get started with a prayer. So if you go ahead and bow your heads with me, and let's get started. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for this day, Lord God. It is your day. We rejoice and we are glad in it. Father God, we thank you so much for the way that you brought these men into my life and for the way that we're moving hemp forward. This is your plant. You created it. We give you all the glory and all the praise. But Lord God, we ask today that as we talk about hemp and we talk about the equipment that's needed to process the plant, that Father, that you give us the wisdom that we need and you anoint our lips so that we can continue to educate the people and move this mission forward. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to jump right into it. I want to know about Western Ag Works. So Toby is the CEO and president of Western Ag Works. Can you tell me about Western Ag Works? How did the journey come to be and where, yeah, tell me about that.
So here at Western Ag Works, we're a seed facility, not only a seed facility, but we are a manufacturer of hemp harvesters, patented by one of my founding companies, our HHE. Uh, we do every kind of vegetable seeds to the manufacturing of hemp harvesting and drying. We do dryers too. So.
Okay.
In Western Colorado.
Seed company. We're located in Western Colorado, and you said harvesters and dryers as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And so I'm really excited because starting this weekend and really through the rest of this month, we're discussing the growing and processing of hemp on Explaining Hemp. I'm very excited for this coming weekend just to discuss growing hemp. And so as we get ready for that 2021 growing season, we're going to need the right equipment, right? So can we briefly assume that the person watching this has never grown hemp, has no idea what hemp is? I mean, they do. They get a little bit of concept of it, but like, what do they do? How do we take it from seed to harvest to end product?
Kurt, do you want to go over that?
Yeah, well, that's one of the main things that attracted me to Western Ag Works and their hemp harvester and dryer was typically when you grow hemp, a lot of the vast majority will start in the greenhouse and then transplant it out into the field. But it's it's a very labor intensive crop, so you need to be watching it, make sure there's no males. You typically pull those out. But when it comes to the harvest, that's the thing that was really labor intensive. We had, a farmer that I knew had 25 acres. When it came to the harvest, he said he had between 35 to 40 people, and it took him, 3 weeks. And that was just to get it out of the field. Then they had to hang it, dry it, and then, strip it and all that. Last year, we had, I was working with a company that we have, the CBD oils and balms and all that. And we were made agreements with the farmers to grow for us, but we knew that there was an issue with the harvesting and the drying, just the labor intensiveness of it. And so last year, I went to the World Ag Expo in Visalia, or I guess Tulare, California, specifically looking for something that we could use to harvest the hemp. And that's where I came across Toby. They have I looked at a number of different ways of harvesting hemp, but it was still, there was, it just wasn't up to speed. You had to still spend a lot of time, or it, would cut, and the hemp would have to lay in the field, hoping that it would dry, or it would, really manipulate the crop. And that's one thing that when you're harvesting, you need to be careful of, because the more you touch it, the more you move it, the more you work with it, those terpenes and everything, they just, they start escaping. And the one unique thing about Toby's harvester is that it, you can strip it right off the stalk in the field. The stalk and stem remain standing in the field, and it takes the leaves and biomass and puts it into a hopper. And that hopper then takes it to their dryer, which their drying system is amazing. You can dry up to 18,000 pounds in 12 hours. And then and it never goes above 92 degrees. That's the other thing that's very important, because if you have all this high heat, it will damage the plant as well, and you lose a lot of those terpenes. So that's the thing that really attracted me to Western Ag Works, was because I did a lot of my own homework, and their whole system is really what's needed to reduce all the the labor costs, and also keep the hemp at a high quality as well.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing how that all came to be. That's awesome. One of the things that I wanted to show now is just a quick video, actually, about the dryer and the harvester. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. Having a little bit of slow Wi-Fi today. What the heck? Okay. Let me get in here. Can you all see that? Oh. Got a cat in the background that's meowing himself. Okay. All right. So can we see this? Wait. Where did it?
Yes.
What's going on? There we go. There we go. Okay. So it dries 18,000 pounds of biomass in 12 hours, or flour in 20 hours, while never going above 92 degrees, right? That's what you just shared with us. And look at all that. Like, that's the reality of what Alaska's hemp industry can look like. Like, that's just beautiful to me. It just makes me so happy. And so this is the dryer, right? This is just that's in there and does its thing. Okay. Oh, I see the ignition source. That's where you get your heat. Okay. Wait, cancel. We're not going to do that right now. Okay. So we got that. So let me go ahead and come back here. And now we're going to check out the harvester real quick. And is the dryer and the harvester just the two that you guys specialize in?
Yeah, that's all we're building right now. We do sell used transplanters and stuff like that. We help farmers move equipment here too. So.
Okay, perfect. This one is taking its sweet time in loading. Yeah. Come on, Lord, be with us. Speed things up just. Okay, maybe we can. While we're waiting for that to come up, so you had shared with me that you realize that there's a lot of looks like we're here. A lot of challenges it's very labor intensive, right? So like if you want to have a hemp harvest, you need to have one that has a lot of people, or you get one of these things. Look at that. one just strips the flower and leaves while the stalk and stem is standing in the field. That's amazing. Look at all that. Look at all that medicine right there. Look at all of that is coming out. That is amazing. That's just beautiful. I love the hemp industry. I love the hemp industry. That is beautiful. So, okay, so you had said that, let me get back here so I can see all your beautiful faces again. There we go. So you had said that it's labor intensive and you've got to get equipment. But I think the question everybody wants to know is, what does this cost? And what are some of the equipment challenges that run in the hemp industry? I mean, is this something where, the little guy who grows a couple acres of corn now maybe wants to grow a couple more acres of hemp and that's good? Or do you really need, do you need the equipment for larger fields? How many acres? Do you know what I'm getting at? Like, how many acres do you really start needing that equipment, or can you just get away with, personal harvesting? What are some of the challenges in the equipment world?
Well, I'll touch the equipment side, and I'll leave the other to Kurt. But one of the unique things here that we got coming out in 2020, in 2020 we only had a 3-row. 2021 we now have a 1-row unit for the smaller farms that we'll be releasing for the smaller farms so that they can. It's still labor intensive enough at say 10 acres that we all know you got to mechanicalize at some point to make money.
Yeah.
And so the 1-row makes the small farmers still mechanicalized, and the dryer units we can expand to meet both worlds, the big and small. You can they're variable sized to what you need. And one thing about the dryer is when we started building them, we knew in our mind from being in the ag that food grade is coming.
Yeah.
It hasn't been regulated in hemp, but it's here, and we have to go forward knowing it's here. So we go into food grade bins because of that, so that when you buy a dryer from us, you're already in regulation when they come.
Perfect.
One of the problems we tell people, one of the big problems, there's a lot of harvesters, there's quite a few harvesters methods, I guess I would say, out there. One of the unique ones for us that I always tell a customer, if you start out with your product at the largest size you can always size it down. You can mill it, you can go down in size. But if you start with, like, say there's combines out there that you can go and field dry it and combine it, you can never go backwards. You can never make the hemp bigger in size. So you're just stuck with this milled material versus a machine like ours that takes it more like a nugget form. You can always go down in size, but you can't the other way. And I think that's a key thing, because if you want to sell, say, mid-grade smokable for health issues, you still can out of our harvester. Secondly, if you got ethanol extractors, you don't want it ground fine material for ethanol extractors. They get a better extraction at a larger diameter size, but yet the CO2 guys or butane want it milled tight. And the one unique thing about our harvester is you can always go down, but you can't, the other ones, you can't go backwards. You can never make the material bigger after it's already small.
That's right. Solid statement for all of life, I guess.
Even
So
some farms that harvested, we had some that harvested for flour and our too. So that's the unique thing about, like Cody was saying, you start with the flower, and this will be a great method for that.
Right. I think what's really important is that as farmers, there really is that Stephen Covey idea that you must begin with the end in mind. So you must begin preparing for your farm as to what am I going to do with this, and last spring when Alaska released our industry, it was April 4th of 2020 was when we released our industry. Now this was after 2 years of waiting for the regulations to come and everything just kind of, and even our governor trying to take the money away from the industry. I buckled down, we lobbied, we fought, we got the industry through. But then when it released so late in our planting season and even in our thinking season that we really didn't have a harvest last year. But I would call farmers and I would say, hey, look at my idea. Here's hemp for healthcare. This is how we're going to save Alaska. This is how we're going to have self-sustainability and economic independence. This is how we're going to do it. And they're like, yay, that's great. We love your idea, but where are we going to process it? What are we going to do with it? Like, oh, so it became that whole field of dreams concept. If you build it, they will come. So the idea really has to realize that, like, if we don't have any processing, we're kind of dead in the water. We're sitting here going, okay, what do we do? And so that's why my team has now focused on, we're doing the Great Alaskan Hemp Processing Plant Project, because we're now looking at 2 different processing plants and what are we going to do with that to make sure that the infrastructure is there for our farmers to be able to have something in some place to sell that processed good. The realization too is when you grow it, just like you said, Toby, are you growing it for food grade, or are you growing it for medicine, or are you growing it for fiber? What is your end goal of what you're going to do with this plant, and how are you going to grow it, is dependent on what your end goal is. Because if you're going to grow it for CBD, you need to separate it, and it needs to have a lot more room to grow out and bush out. But if you're growing for fiber, you need to keep it tight together, and you can put, hundreds of thousands of seeds in a single acre. And so, but you make a valid point that once you make it small, you can't make it big again. You can't just all of a sudden add water and it's going to, get bigger. So you've got to have a solid expectation in the beginning, before maybe even putting those seeds in the ground, right? That you know what you're going to do with it when the end, when you harvest it. And
Absolutely.
so it's really not something that you can just kind of walk by faith, or you can be, just I don't know what we're going to do. Well, no, that's really could cause you a lot of cost, unnecessary cost in the long run. Is that right? Is that how I'm?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the most important thing when it comes to growing hemp, is you need to have air for it. Before you get the seed, before you do anything, in order for you to be a successful hemp farmer, you need to have that end result. You can't. Yeah. I think that's where a lot of other farmers have had some difficulty. Is they planted it and then they didn't have. So before you grow it, you need to have where it's going to end up. You have that all taken care of first.
Right. Because even coming down to the genetics that you choose, choosing the right genetics is dependent on the end goal. Your end goal of CBD, or is your end goal of a good fiber strain or grain strain? One of the things that I'm vitally excited about here in Alaska is that we have this problem in our state where we only make 4% of our own food supply. Okay, 96% of our food here in the state of Alaska is shipped in from out of our state, from other countries, from the lower 48. And that's very scary when all of a sudden a disease shuts down your supply lines, right? When all of a sudden we don't know how to take care of our people because we can't order it from other states, or a big flood destroys the rice fields in China. You know, when you're really dependent on the outside world to take care of you, that's scary, which is what gives me so much fight every day to pick up this cross and say, no, Alaska deserves self-sustainability with hemp. We can make our own food supply. And hemp can be all of that flour and that protein source and that fat source and that great nutrition source. So I love hemp as food. Like, and I cook with it, and I have, if you go over to Hemp for Healthcare in Alaska on YouTube, you'll see some cooking with hemp episodes. I just love hemp. Hemp is so, and it's one of the only ways that I can get a good fat and protein source in my kid half the time, you know? So like, it's just, I love cooking with hemp. But really understanding that. So when you're planning out your farms for this coming 2021 season, and you're considering your equipment, and you're considering, just know that you really need to know what you want to do with it. But I think what's great about the hemp industry is that you can pick a thing that you're passionate about. Are you passionate about food security? Are you passionate about plastics? Are you passionate about biofuel? Are you passionate about medicine and CBD? There's so many different places that you can find a spot for your passion in the hemp industry because of all the different thousands of products that can be made out of the same plant. So I think that's awesome, but having the right equipment matters. And so Western Ag Works out of Western Colorado can give you that amazing harvester and that amazing dryer to make sure that you're creating a quality product and a safe product when it comes to food grade. Toby, I love that you mentioned that your product is food grade kind of out of the gate, so that you're not really having to go back in and retool in a way to, if all of a sudden we have a, I don't know, World War III and we need to commission hemp growers to make food for our people, we won't need to retool that in some way, that it's already set. So that's great. I love to hear that. So let's see here. What are my other questions? Okay, so what would you say makes Western Ag Works the premier provider for the hemp industry for equipment?
I mean, I would go back to the harvesters. We knew when we started this, we went down this journey knowing we tried everything else. We went to the combines, we did the hand labor. Here in Colorado, hand labor is a big issue. We have lots of other vegetable crops, onions, you name it. And those crops take priority over hemp, even in this little valley, because onions are a big market here.
Sure.
And that's what the farmers have went to for years and years and years. So our labor is really hard to get, and it's getting harder every year to get labor here. You end up having to house them and everything else. So we knew we was in trouble with the labor. We went back to the combining position, and it was right back to the size of material. We had started an ethanol extractor at one time, and we had the problem of the material too fine. We couldn't extract our own crop through our own extraction because of the way we had done our crop. So we said, you know, we need to back off of the extraction and everything else, and we need to go to the drawing board and figure out our harvest first.
Yeah.
And so that's what put us down this journey. But I think that's what, and Western Ag Works is really unique. We have, we do a lot of custom grows for all vegetable seeds. We have one of the, in the United States, they call them millwright guys. They run seed mills. They're getting less and less by the day of actual family-owned seed companies or even seed millwright people that are cleaning seeds for other people. They're all bought out for major corporations, and it's really unique here. My brother is the general manager for the seed division. He's been in the industry for 26 years. He knows what he's doing. So we have the unique position over there that we can actually get people seed. We do play around with treating hemp seed with organic treatments to try to help with natural bios. So it's kind of unique just in that perspective that we're not just a manufacturing company.
Right. Right. I love that. And you brought up some really solid points about big companies, will come in and they take over, and the truth is they do that because we as the consumer have lost the understanding that we have power with our money and who we buy from. And we've lost that because we get so caught up in well, this is the cheapest thing, or oh, I don't care who I buy from, I just want the thing, I want that whatever. And yet the only way the only way this whole mission is gonna work is if you as the consumer decide to be conscious with how you spend your money. That's it. It's the only way it's going to work. For you to say, okay, I'm going to buy hemp instead of buying cotton that's been slathered in pesticides and I'm covered in it, because I put it on my body, I'm going to buy hemp or a hemp blend. And because I know that the more hemp I purchase, the more carbon dioxide that is absorbed from, or carbon emissions are absorbed from the air. The more hemp I buy, the more toxic metals are cleaned from the soil. The more hemp I buy, the more biodegradable plastics are put out there. So like there's a conscious awareness between how we spend our money and what it does. Like an understanding that the energy of money is not just out there to go out there and whatever. Like there's like a line, like I don't know, I'm not making sense at the moment, but you know what I mean? Like you have to choose to spend your money wisely or in a way that has impact. And we get into this world where we think, okay, well, it's all about the cheapest bottom line, but that's the problem that our society has got into, is that we believe that profits are more important than people. And then all of a sudden people don't matter and people are sick and people are broken. And we're going, well, what's the problem? Well, it's because you've been serving money. You've been serving this big corporate mindset. And so buy local, buy that's the whole Hemp for Healthcare in America concept, is that when you build a solid hemp infrastructure locally, then you're helping your people locally, because we cannot ever consider to compete worldwide again if we don't take care of the people at the bottom, the people right there in your backyard. I saw something recently where I think it was in Japan or China, there was this restaurant that was entirely automated. It was an entire robots. You walk in, and from the greeting to the serving of your food and the cleaning up of your food and the order taking and all of it was a robot. There was not a single human being that was serving you within this restaurant. And so we worry about immigrants coming in and taking our jobs when we might be a little more worried about artificial intelligence coming in to take our jobs. So be wary that sometimes equipment is good. We need equipment. Equipment helps us do more, because when the laborers are few, the equipment helps you to do more. But also be conscious that we have to compete now with artificial intelligence. And either you continue to grow and expand yourself, or the robots take over. That's the absolute truth. And we're seeing it in the current reality. So I love that. I love that you also shared, Toby, that you've made the mistakes so that we don't have to. You realized that you had to. Go ahead. Oh, later. Kurt, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's one of the things that we're proud of at Western Ag Works, is that everything is manufactured in the U.S. We bring it all together, fabricate it, in Olathe, Colorado, and because we recognize that to take everything internally and make it work for everybody here.
Right. Right. And when we can serve America again, and again, like I said, I'm not an isolationist. I'm not a like we can't do business with other countries. That's not what I think at all. I think that every country should take care of themselves first. Build that infrastructure, because even in your own personal life, if you try to take care of the world around you and you don't take care of you by doing the proper self-care stuff, well then it's all going to fall apart, just like I did yesterday, for those of you that have been following me. So it is, it's important that we take care of each other. So, but as I was saying, Toby, regarding, you've made the mistakes so that we don't have to. And it's important that, we learn those lessons in the front, that you have a plan. Now, I know the plans don't always work out. I get it. Like, we learn lessons along the process, but it's much better to plug into somebody who's already done it and who can say, try this, don't try that, versus going, oh, I know all this. I know everything. I'm good. Like, I'm so cocky. I got this. No, we don't. We don't. And so it's really important that as a hemp community, now I know there's members of the hemp community that want to exalt themselves over and above everyone else, and they want to make all the money, and because there's one in every crowd, I get it.
Yeah.
But the truth is overall, I believe that Western AgWorks is one of those companies that wants to support the entirety of the community, that wants to see the entire community roll up and grow and raise up. Because if we don't, it doesn't matter anymore, right? Like, I mean, I'm not saying that there's no purpose, but I'm saying that together we have to grow together, and we have to build each other up, because together is how we can save America with hemp, right? Awesome. So what kind of seeds, Toby, real quick, what kind of seeds do you guys specialize in?
We do all vegetable seeds.
Okay.
Most of it's third-party contracts to companies that sell seed, but we'll grow them here in the valley for that company and clean them and ship them to wherever they have them sold.
Okay. That's good. So, and they can order all that on your website?
Yeah, they can contact us that way. But we also, any hemp seed that you have, we can, because that's not been something that's been done either, that we thought we wanted to start offering, because all the other seeds that people plant for food or for other issues are they usually will, depending on the area where they're being planted, there's different issues that they have. Blue hemp, there's not been much treating of the seed that will help that plant to overcome those diseases, or to help them in the germination phase. And like Tori was saying, that's all it's all certified, organic. So it's all organic processing, and that really will help your crop to have a much better crop.
Exactly. And I found somebody said something, posted, I think it was on a Facebook post, about Alaska needing to get some of that Russian Siberian hemp, that can last through anything. And it was like, oh, maybe, but it really is important to understand that genetics matter. They really do. They really, really do. And whether it be in your tomato crop, or your onion crop, or your hemp crop, genetics matter. So it's important to understand that where you are, and know your climate, know what you can grow. And of course, if you're growing indoors and you're growing greenhouse, then that can be much different, because you can control your circumstances a little bit better. But we don't honestly know what Alaska is going to do, and I'm hoping, just pray with me, that Jeff Wetzel with Bubba Kush Company is going to be coming online on Saturdays explaining hemp, because we're going to talk about how hemp will grow in Alaska, because he's got some personal experience with that. And so we just don't know. We've got 24 hours of daylight in parts of our state. Some parts of our state in the middle of winter that you're not growing hemp. Like, no way, it's not happening unless you're growing indoors under extremely controlled circumstances. So it's really going to be a unique situation. And I'm not somebody that says I can't. If I'm saying I can't, then I need to like put some tape over my mouth and shut up. So so I say, how can we? What do we need to do to overcome the the situations that are, holding us? And so that's definitely what is kind of where we're headed into the 2021 growing season for Alaska, is understanding what we need to do. What do we want to do? How do we want to grow? Get our seeds, get the equipment, get all that moving forward. My team will sit down with you and think you through that. We'll ask you those questions and say, what is it that you want to do? How can we help? What can we write some SOPs for you, or some operating plans for you? Can we help you get your business license going? Can we help you get your registration going? That's what my team does. And I've done it consistently and successfully with cannabis businesses, helping them get registered in the recreational cannabis industry here. And so now hemp is just the logical and natural progression into that. So that's what my business does as well. I want to thank Kirk and Toby for coming online. I thank you so much for sponsoring me. So real quick, let's give a quick breakdown as to what it is. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, the 2019 growing season, Toby had a pretty unique way of growing. Toby, why don't you talk about what you did? And I mean, that can be a possibility for Alaska as well.
In 2019, we started off in the spring, had a really wet spring, and really had bad germinations, because we did all seed to soil. We don't transplant because the cost was just too high. And we already are set up as farmers with equipment to plant direct seed. So we started direct seeding in 2019 and come up with some few issues in the spring. So the fall of 2019, I decided I was going to plant some in November and overwinter it in the ground. And so we went along about February, I think it was February 9th in 2020, we went out to the fields and started looking, and we actually had hemp coming out of the fields. And so about 2 weeks passed by. Yeah, it was about 3 weeks. Right before the Tulare Ag Show, we had a really hard frost. We was down to about 10 degrees, 8 degrees at night. And I thought, well, I've lost it, but it was a good try. And so the crop kind of turned black, and 4 days later, the black leaves fell off and the new ones came out, and it just expanded from there. I mean, we ended up with frost clear up into March and got froze 3 more times. And hemp is a very strong plant. People don't see how strong it is. And so we've overwintered it here in Colorado.
So you're telling me that we could test that and see, I mean,
I would absolutely test that, because I mean, we don't get as cold, but we get as cold as some areas in Alaska. And because we'll go to 0 degrees for maybe 2 weeks in January or late December. And my hemp had went through that. We'd have a lot of days of 15 degrees, 17 degrees, 13 degrees. We have a lot of that. And we had really good success. We had one of the best hemp crops we've ever had.
Wow. Now, I necessarily wouldn't suggest it in like Fairbanks, where it gets -70, or something like that. But okay, I don't know. It's been a while since we've had a -70, but still, like up on the slope, things like that, it definitely can get pretty cold. But but even in South Central, down in Juneau or Ketchikan, you know, we've seen, I think the lowest we've seen even here in Wasilla has been maybe -9. And so we've definitely seen some negative temps this season, but it's worth a try, right? I mean, why not? Wouldn't that just be a just amazing transformational concept to plant your spring seeds in the fall and just see what happens? That's amazing.
You know, I always tell everybody that if I did it, I would plant it right before you have a hard enough frost that freezes the ground. You need it to be cold because you don't want it to germinate. You want it to naturally germinate as it wants to. Mother Nature will take care of itself.
That's right. God does.
Weed seeds survive all the time. I mean, we overlook it, and weed seeds survive all the time in the harshest conditions. Well, hemp's, let's just get it. I mean, hemp's as strong as a weed.
Yeah.
It'll outgrow most weeds. And so the biggest deal is if that seed is already going to know, and it won't germinate till the ground temperature gets to that point where it tells it to germinate.
Right. Right.
So
and I think that's great. Like, that's just really, when you think of that seed form, it's so connected, you know, to spirit. It's connected to the earth and everything around us. Like, the further, you know, I always say that babies are closer to God, you know, because they can hear him a little bit better than we can. As life gets polluted into us, we tend to grow up and grow away. But it's so amazing to think of that. Thank you so much, Kirk, for bringing that up, and Toby for sharing that, because I think I'm definitely going to try it. You know, I'm definitely going to try it next season, maybe about October, and see what happens. And you know, put those. Now, the hardest part, of course, here in Alaska, let's be real, we don't know when that first frost is going to come. We don't know. It could come in September, and then last year it came in December. So we just don't even know. Climate change is real, guys. It's real. Look in Texas right now. It's real. Like, things are happening climate-wise that are totally unprecedented in our lifetime. We just don't even know. So it's something where you've just got to keep. Now, I tell everybody, the one way that we're going to do this to be able to grow year round is going to be to grow indoors and to create facilities that run off of hemp electricity and hemp fuel and hemp. You know, it's a cyclical kind of status on that. But it's amazing. So thank you so much for sharing that. So let me share with you guys real quick about what Hemp for Healthcare is about. Okay, so what is Hemp for Healthcare? Well, Hemp for Healthcare is a social, political, and industrial solution to how we save America and how we save Alaska. Okay, so it's how we save us with what, though? Hemp. It's that plant, looks a bit like the that marijuana plant that everybody calls like the devil's lettuce or gets you high, but instead this one makes thousands of different products. Everything from houses to clothing to biofuel and plastics, even food can be made out of this one plant. Okay, so when you wrap your mind around that and you realize that, wow, we could grow this and we could create that, but not only that, paper. We could stop the deforestation. Last weekend, check out Explaining Hemp. We had Hempwood's founder Greg Wilson on, and we talked about how hemp can replace many wood uses, right? And then earlier on this year, we had Erica Halverson with a Tiny E-Paper Company talking about hemp as paper. So amazing ways in which hemp can really transform the way we do things as a society, and the input to the products that we currently consume. And so with that, though, what does that mean? That means it can provide self-sustainability. We can create and grow all of our own things right here in the state of Alaska. We don't know how to do that. We've never had to do that. We've always counted on the outside world to take care of us. And yet there's a small group of us that are like, no, I'm going to grow my own stuff. We're going to go hunting a moose every year. We're going to, you know, the natives have that capability to just, you know, sustain. Well, Alaska can do that with the hemp plant. But not only that, economic independence. Independence, meaning we don't have to count on the outside world. There happens to be a COVID coming in. Don't even think this is the last pandemic, guys. It's not. Okay, biblically, we've got lots more to go. So understand that each state needs to be able to close her borders and take care of herself. Because I am positive that the founding fathers never said, you know what, we should create a society where they suck off the tit of mama government all their life. I don't think so. I'm positive that was not on George Washington's mind. Instead, they believed in state rights, and they believe in the ability for states to take care of themselves. We are fiercely independent here in Alaska, but I think as Americans, we are in general. And we need to understand that we can take care of ourselves with hemp. Okay, but then what do we also need to kind of grow us up to where the rest of the world is? Everybody needs healthcare. We need to be able to have a healthy society, because a healthy society is a prosperous society. So the Hemp for Healthcare initiative is one that covers healthcare for all. It covers the industrial hemp prison program and the hemp houses for the homeless. These are social initiatives that understand that, yes, we need these things. We need healthcare. We need to take care of our bodies. We can't honestly expect, though, everybody to do that for us. We have to take personal responsibility within that. But when we get sick, we as Americans deserve the ability to go to the doctor without believing that it's going to destroy our entire bank account. Because if people in other countries can do that, why can't we? We deserve that. Come on. So this is the way that we do it, is we create a hemp-based economy in every way, and we tax that industry at a reasonable rate. Okay. Then we take the profits purchased from products purchased on hempforhealthcare.com, and we put that into the healthcare fund. State centralized. So there in Colorado, you come to hempforhealthcare.com, you make a purchase. The hemp products would drop ship directly to your door, and the profits go into the healthcare fund for your state. So let's say one day you decide to move to Alaska, and all of a sudden the profits from your purchases will now come into the healthcare fund for the state of Alaska, because they go where you are, instead of they go to this central federally government controlled world that, I'm sorry, I don't know about you, but I don't trust my federal government right now. I'm not the only one. Okay, there's a bunch of people out there that are controlling our federal government world, and we go, what's going on? We don't even know. States need to have better control over the healthcare system and the healthcare needs of their population. So that's what this mission is all about. And so at Hemp for Healthcare, we believe that hemp can save our planet. It's proven. It absorbs carbon emissions. It absorbs toxic metals. We believe that. But we also believe that it can save us from the damages of fossil fuel and plastic pollution. It can save us from deforestation and toxicity in our soil. It can clean us up. Okay. Not to mention, it's a great medicine source as well for a supplement to our endocannabinoid system. So we believe that a single payer healthcare system is the way it has to be, but I don't think it should be run by government. In fact, I have a whole different view of how that should be handled. And so we stand for social improvement programs to build people up and understand that you have your challenges. You have your programming. You are a robot of flesh and blood, and yet I'm going to love you through that. I'm going to guide you to a higher version of yourself because you deserve that. And that's what we should as a society be approaching our relationships with others as well. And government should be approaching people. So if you stand with what I've been saying, please consider donating. Please become a Patreon on Patreon for Healthcare in America. You can donate to PayPal, hemp for healthcare nak@gmail.com. Also, there will soon be a link on the website of which you can just click it, and you can make a donation there as well. Donations are what keep moving us forward. Purchases on hempforhealthcare.com keep moving us forward. And so if you believe what I'm doing, thank you, and donate. Okay, I want to thank again Toby and Kirk for sharing with me, being our special sponsor spotlight of explaining hemp today. If you've enjoyed the broadcast, please share with your friends. I just realized, oh, Michael said here, great video, everyone. Thank you for sharing it with everyone. I'm going to go ahead and put that up so you can see. Yay, we got some insights there. Okay, so any last words? Toby, Kirk, anything you want to share?
I think I'm good.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so as we know, you can reach them with more questions at westernagworks.com.
We're just happy to share what we have. And any questions, let.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I don't have any other questions here from our viewers at the moment, but I'll definitely send them your way should they come to me. But then always westernagworks.com. And I'll put this too. You can also email Kirk. My fingers are getting ahead of me here. Kirk at westernagworks.com. There's his email. You can email him if you have questions. And that's that. Perfect. Okay. All right. Well, please be sure to join us on this coming Saturday at 9 a.m. for our next episode of Explaining Hemp, where we will be joined by Brad Menard of the Pup Plug Supply and working on some more growers for you. Brain power is what we need. We don't want to make the mistakes that other industries have made. God bless them. Thank you so much for making your mistakes so we can learn from them. We need to learn from others and how to grow this plant to the best of our ability, how to make good choices for our farmers, and how to get good equipment right there. Okay. So he's going to bring some hard truths about growing hemp and prepare for the realities of the coming world. Thank you again to Toby and Kurt for joining me. And now may I bless you and release you on to be the world changers that you're being called to be. May the Lord bless you and keep you, shine his face upon you, lift up his favor towards you, be gracious to you, and give you peace. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. See you all Saturday. God bless America. God bless Alaska. And God bless you. Have a great day, guys.
You too.